Hi, welcome to another episode of How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. I'm your host, Christine, and today we're sort of continuing our, I don't know, I guess, topic of the month about how to make progress with your child and what I've learned in the last year using our program as how to get you the most success and results as quickly as possible. Because believe it or not, my favorite clients to work with are the clients that don't stick around long. They are in and out because they have a ton of success really fast. You might be like, well, that's probably not true, Christine, because the longer they stay, the more money that you make, right? Yeah, I guess technically that's true, but the shorter the stay, the better the recommendation, right? So parents that see progress really quick would be really quick to refer me to their friends and family because they know how effective our method is, right? So that's really actually not the case. My goal is not to have clients with us endlessly, month after month, year after year. In fact, the longer clients are with us, the more I'm concerned that they're just not doing anything at home or enough at home that's making a difference, right? So we want to make sure that our families are reading the materials, listening, implementing and using our strategies because we know that that makes accelerated progress. And we want our families to have that big progress. So, I know I've known this for a while that the parents that make like our super fast parent progress, and I would tell you, well, progress is going to be super dependent on how severe your child is, how long they've had that issue, right? That's actually what I used to tell parents. But I've actually learned that that's not necessarily true because sometimes a child who you wouldn't think has, too many issues, there's not too much going on there, they can actually take a very long time in therapy. And you might think, well, a child that has lots of issues, like they have a syndrome, they have a feeding tube, they need a trach or a vent, they might be in therapy much longer. And that might be true. And there are aspects and there are nuances within every child and family. But this year proved me wrong because what I learned is that parent coaching is the secret sauce to success. And despite how many challenges your child may have, it is quite possible to make very significant changes in a very short amount of time. Not saying that they're going to be completely done with therapy in just a few months, but shortening that time and seeing life-changing gains in a couple of months is absolutely possible if the parents are on board and learning and implementing on a daily basis. That daily and consistent learning and applying is what makes the difference, not the level of severity of the child, not how long the child has had the problem. It's really all about how involved the parents are. And I'll tell you why and how it transforms actually the dynamic of the family structure a little bit. Right. So, right. The evidence I've gathered this year, as I've, talked about in a few of the previous episodes, was that basically within about 4 months, all of our parents who did our coaching saw huge changes and gains versus our parents who did not do the program. And mind you, they all had access to this program. They actively chose not to do the work. And again, I am not blaming those parents. People are busy. They forget. They don't remember that it's even there. They don't remember how to access it. Or they just have time constraints or financial constraints where they have to work extra hours, right? I'm not blaming these parents for it, but I do want to highlight the difference in the timing of how quickly they will make progress. And I've been able to pretty much pinpoint how long it will take a family based on how active and involved they are in the strategies and using them and applying them at home, which I found pretty interesting. You know, so, I think that when we want to move forward and we want to make progress, it's really easy in the beginning to say, "Oh yeah, that sounds great. Yep, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm on it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to read this. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do this every day." It's kind of like when you set a New Year's resolution in January. And by February 1st, you're like, yeah, this is just not going to work for me. I can't do it. But I want to give you some tips to make it so that we don't fall off of that bandwagon and we stay the course and we continue to see and make progress, right? So, you know, first, there is a motivation factor, right? So, think about even like one New Year's resolution. Like people always say, like a bunch of people sign up for the gym in January, and then by February, the gym seems empty again, right? That's because of motivation. Like, how strong is your motivation for change? For some people, their picky eater is just sort of a little bit annoying. For other people, it affects their daily life like you would not believe. It is absolutely their number one goal. So you have to think about how serious you are about fixing and changing this issue, right? So if you are super duper motivated, you are going to probably be one of those people that stick with the program a little bit longer. Okay. Also, it's what is the expectation, right? Because if the expectation is too high for you to meet, you're always going to be feeling like you're falling short. You're always going to be feeling like, I can't do it. It's just too much. So we try to make it so that everything is just a baby step. Our videos are super short, they're easy to listen to. You can listen wherever you are. You could put it on your app in the car, right? There's a lot of options for it. You could watch it, you can listen to it, you could kind of just read the transcript of what that lesson is about and get an idea. There's a lot of different ways to access information. Um, but remembering that, again, baby steps. If we can even just carve 5 minutes out in our calendar per day, putting it in our calendar in our phone or in a diary, in your journal, in your planner, wherever you keep all of the information about your day, that's where you would want to um, note this down, but just carving out a little bit of time and making it part of a routine, right? So you want to, make it so you don't really have to, it's in your calendar, but it doesn't matter that it's in your calendar. You already know you're going to do it after you do this. So maybe it's as soon as your child gets home from school or as right before dinner or right after they I don't know watch an episode of whatever it is that they watch when they get home from daycare, whatever it is. You just kind of put something in your routine, or maybe it's something you personally are going to do different. Like maybe you are going to watch or listen to one of the strategies that we have. And maybe you're only going to do that once a week. And then you're going to take that week to do 5 minutes implementation every single day. That 5 minutes or 2 minutes will add up very, very quickly. It's about planning and making some time for this stuff to happen. I'd say, you know, children thrive in those consistent environments, but parents also do really well with that consistency and schedules as well. It's just a human nature type of a thing. So if kids know what to expect in their routines and you know what to expect in your routine, you're much more likely to be successful in meeting goals like that. And we do actually have lessons in our Unlocking Meal Times about routines and how to be successful with them so that you do stay on track, right? Um, okay, also parent coaching. So there's a few core pillars here that I think are important to note. With parent coaching, it's not just about here's a strategy, go and do it. We're also talking about mindset shifts on your part for your mindset and your child's, right? So we want parents to reframe how they're approaching their children, how they're talking to them about food, and how they're viewing their child's issue, because all of those things actually make a huge difference. And that's more where the coaching comes in. It's not only about here's some strategies, go do them. It's about, well, where are you struggling? How can we make this easier for you? I as a therapist help you to make progress and move forward too? Because it's about the small wins. It's about, helping you learn to be patient, helping you, not that you're not patient, but helping you learn, okay, well, maybe I'm being a little short-sighted here and getting too hung up on it looking a certain way or feeling a certain way. Maybe I need to change my perspective. So, that all comes to play when it comes to parent coaching, those mindset shifts. There's also those practical strategies as well. And those routines that we talked about, right? So getting into the groove, making sure that you're seeing progress every single week. And, I don't know if anyone has ever had a child who went through early intervention, but it's actually the model of early intervention to do parent coaching. And I'll tell you, when I started early intervention, I knew that that was the model, that you were supposed to be teaching the parents what to do. It wasn't supposed to be the therapist just takes a child into the room, the parent goes into the other room, takes a shower, makes a phone call. The parents were supposed to be and expected to be part of the session. And it seemed like no matter what I did, a lot of the parents just didn't want to stick around. They felt that their child did better when they weren't there. And I was also guilty of this. When my child was in early intervention, I was very much that person who was like, you know what? You just go into the room, you be with him. When I'm here, he sort of gets distracted. But isn't that also kind of part of the therapy? Right? Isn't that, don't we want to learn to work through some of those things together? And wouldn't it have been even quicker and better on my part if I had been there to, sort of absorb what she was doing? Because, I never even saw what OT did. She just took him upstairs, they had fun, and he did well. And, there wasn't an issue, but how much more progress could I have made with him if I knew what she did with him and why she was doing it? Because then couldn't I have done that when she wasn't there? And how many more times could I have practiced that same skill? Right. So I'm certainly not immune to that. I have done the same thing. I am guilty of the same thing you are. But I have been on both sides of it. And I can tell you that even when it is seemingly more annoying or seemingly, oh, they just seem to do so much better when I'm not there. That isn't always a good reason for you to leave. That isn't a good reason to say, my hands are off of this. You go take them. I'll see you later. And trust me, it's super easy to do, because if they're happy to go with that therapist and now you have some free time to, I don't know, like I said, take a shower, make that phone call in peace because you know that they're occupied. Trust me, I know it's easier to have them go with the therapist to give you some space and time. But I just want you to keep in your mind that there is a cost to doing that. And the cost is it will slow down the progress. And if you're fine with that, then you're fine with it. Okay. But I just want you to know that there is a difference between being present and not being present. And I can tell you that as someone, as a parent who has also not been present. So I do understand where you're coming from, why you want to be there. I do. I truly do. And I'm not blaming you, and I'm not trying to make you feel guilty about it. I'm just kind of presenting the facts. Like, it just goes faster when you're there, even though it's a little bit more annoying. I'm going to be honest. It just is. It's like you kind of look forward to that time where they're with the therapist, right? Because, oh man, you had a long day and you were working and you were busy and you finally got 30 minutes to yourself, right? And that's really just all you want is a little bit of time to yourself because you're busy. Maybe you're the only one home for a long time. And yeah, I totally, totally get it. I just want you to understand that it just means that progress will be slower. So maybe even just making a balancing act of, okay, you know what? I'm going to let them sit with a therapist. And then the last 15-20 minutes, I really want to get in there and I want to know exactly what she's doing, why she's doing it, what I can do. Okay. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Um, Okay, so what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, it does really have a good ripple effect because when you gain confidence in one area and with this like one thing, so you might learn, right? So you might have parent coaching with us through unlocking meal times. And yeah, it might be related to feeding, but a lot of parents also realize that a lot of other areas of their parenting seem to improve because these strategies are about interpersonal relationships. So they're not just feeding strategies all the time. They're strategies that might help make other situations easier as well. So it's just about improving your connection to your child overall. That's how I feel. Um, so, again, parent coaching, I'm not trying to add more to anyone's plate here. But I do know that the secret sauce here is in these little details of what the parents are doing at home, what they know they need to be doing, that learning that takes place, and that consistency in taking those baby steps every single day. Okay. It's about making the time you are spending with your child the most meaningful. It's so easy to check out. It's so easy to just put on a video, give them the tablet so you can have 5 minutes of peace. I totally and completely understand that. And I am absolutely guilty of that as well. And I'm not telling you never to do that again. That's crazy. But I'm just telling you to maybe think about ways we can back off of that a little bit and do a little bit more like just kind of like meeting in the middle a little bit, right? So we don't have to like totally take it away and be like hands on all the time, up in their face completely with them, every minute that we're together. That's not what I mean either. I just mean maybe we can take some of that time where we're hands off and do some hands on things with them um, to sort of bridge that gap a little bit because I know and I've seen now just the difference in data and what blew my mind honestly was that it didn't matter how severe the child was. And I always thought it did before. It actually doesn't. Still, the parent involvement piece is still the most critical piece of progress. So, take that. um, hopefully it resonated with you. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone. I don't mean to make anyone feel like they're not doing enough because trust me, I know you're doing everything, right? So that's definitely not my intention. It's really about where can we make improvements? And we don't sometimes always realize or recognize when you fall into that pattern when it's just this is what we do every day. Sometimes until someone brings it to your attention, you don't even realize that you've been kind of caught in this weird trap of time and commitments and maybe there is more I could be doing, right? So I just wanted you to have an open mind and think about maybe a new perspective that might help you make some great progress. All right. So we will see you next week. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you for listening to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. To learn more about achieving your child's feeding goals, check out Christine's website at foodologyfeeding.com. And be sure to tune in next time to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater.